Jatam Sahagana Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Bhajita Sri Vasadam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Brijavano Sade Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhascha Kripa Sindhu Dehe Vacha Pajitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivadari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kavam Nasti 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 Jaiti Jaiti Namananda Rupam Marare Vinamithele Jadar Madhyana Pujariyatam Katama Prisakridatam Muktinam Praninam Jat Paramamritam Ekanam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. So we're reading from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Jaiva Dharma, chapter 13, Praman, the commencement of Prameri. So here, so this chapter is explaining about Dashamula Tattva, then essential truth which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established, which the associates of Mahaprabhu then propagated, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur so included in his book Jaiva Dharma, and also separately there's a small book just entitled Dashamula Tattva. So Brajanath approached Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj, disciple of Raghunath Das Goswami, and then he explained about Dashamula Tattva. First is Praman, the evidence, and then the fundamental truth are there. So Praman means the evidence, and Pramay means that which is proved. So we'll read the verse in Sanskrit because it is an important verse, and scholarly devotees, they should know by heart. So if you're not practicing reciting, then we forget, especially when one is getting older. Amnaya prahatatvam harim iha paramam sarvashaktim rasatim tad binam shams cha jivan prakriti kvaritam tad vimuktam chabhavat veda prakasham sakalam api hari saranam shuddha bhaktim saryam tad pritim eviti Upadishati Janan Guru Chandra Swayam Saha. So Guru Chandra Swayam, he himself, so he instructed his devotees, Upadishati. So Param Tattva, so Praman, so he has explained, these are the Amnaya, the Vedic literatures, or the literatures in pursuance of of the Vedic literatures. And then, so what is established? The fundamental truth that, first of all, Hari, Krishna is Param Tattva, the supreme, absolute truth. And then these qualities are explained. Sarva Shakti, man. So he has all potencies. Akila Rasamrita, Rasabdin. He's your ocean of transcendental willows. And explaining about his part and parcels. Bibinamsha Tattva, which are, as explained by Bhagavad Gita, Jiva Swapo Krishna Nityadas. That is part and parcels. Two kinds of part and parcels are there: the Mukta Jiv, the liberated souls, and the Bada Jiv, the conditioned souls. And then establishing the absolute truth, and the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Achintya Veda Veda Tattva. The absolute truth, Krishna, is inconceivably same and different as his expansions, then different from him and different also. And the spiritual abode, the spiritual realm is not different from him, but also different. And even the material world is not different from him. He is emanating from him ultimately, but he is different also. So the process is known as Shuddha Bhakti in order to advance in spiritual life. And by performing Shuddha Bhakti, one can attain perfection. Sadhya, the goal, love for Krishna, which is natural for the living entity. But it is the beginning, of course, it is covered, it is in seed-like form. But by devotional service, then it will be revealed. So the first verse was also explained. So the self-evident Vedas which have been received in the Sampradaya to the Guru Parampara, the recipients of Sri Hari's mercy such as Brahmaji orders, are known as Amnai-Vakya. The 9 Pramay Tattvas are established by these Amnai-Vakyas with the help of other Praman that follow the guidance of these Shastras. So in essence, the first verse, the second verse was indeed Sri Hari, to whom Brahma, Shiva and Indra and all the devatas continue to offer pranam, is the only supreme absolute truth. Nirvishesh Brahma, that is devoid of Shakti, is Sri Hari's bodily effulgence. Mahavishnu, who has created the universe and who has entered into it as the indwelling super soul of all, is simply his personal manifestation. It is that Sri Hari alone, the very form of transcendental reality, Chitsarup, whose complexion is the color of a freshly formed thundercloud, who is Sri Radha Vallabh, the beloved of Sri Radha. So the highest realm is Golok, where Radha Krishna are residing. And that is, so the highest ras, a mellow is there in the relationship between Radha and Krishna. That is known also as Adi Ras, Madhurya Ras. Janmadi Yasya. So the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam is also explaining this. Satyam Param Dimahi, Param Satya. So we meditate on that. And Param Satya, that is Sri Krishna. And everything is coming from him. Janmadi Yasya. Janma Adi. So that refers, of course, ultimately the spiritual creation, then the material creation, the maintenance, annihilation, and so on. But also Janma Adi. So the original meadow, so that is the Ariras, the relationship between Radha and Krishna, the loving exchange. And of course then the gopis are there who are assisting Srimati Radha and giving pleasure to Krishna. So Rajanath is asking questions and in this regard, and Babaji Maharaj is answering. So one question was there that so he's asking about Sri Krishna. How can Sri Krishna be all-pervading if he has a medium-sized human-like form? If you accept that he has form, it means he can only stay in one place at a time, and that gives rise to so many philosophical discrepancies. First is that he cannot be the all-pervading tattva if he has a form and body. So Brajanath first he was an impersonalist, and the conception is there that the Absolute Truth has no form and it is all-pervading. The Brahmajyoti, the light. So, but that is only Krishna's effulgence, but Krishna has a form. But his form is transcendental, so that he will explain. Secondly, if he has a body, he will be limited by the material modes of nature. So how can he be independent and have limitless and absolute authority? How can this be reconciled? Babaji, my dear son, you are now thinking like this because you are bound by the qualities of Maya. So if one is under most material nature, he cannot understand the absolute truth, the absolute reality. So one has to engage in devotional service, and one has to be under guidance of the advanced devotees, and then one becomes purified in existence, and then one can come to the transcendental plane, Shuddha Sattva, and then we can realize Sri Krishna. So Amal Purush, who is in Vishuddha Sattva, and then we can perceive that he is all-pervasive. At the same time, he's situated in Braj, performing his wonderful pastimes in a human-like form, but this form is completely transcendental, and this form is the source of everything. And so Krishna is present in the spiritual world, but at the same time he comes present. He manifests also in this world when the material world is manifested in each universe. And he can be manifested in everyone's heart. So that is the inconceivable nature of the Absolute Truth, which can only be understood if one is transcendently situated. So with material intelligence we can never understand the Absolute Truth. But by spiritual intelligence, by being engaged in devotional service, then we can understand Krishna, the Absolute Truth. If such conditioned intelligence attempts to exceed its own limitations, trying to understand Shuddha Sattva, it superimposes Mayic forms and qualities on Shuddha Sattva, and thus conceives a material form of transcendence. So that even sometimes the devotees who are not yet advanced, so they also are imposing their understanding on the Absolute Truth, which is not possible. So, one verse in this connection. What does it say? The first line. Explaining that Atasi Krishna Namadi Nabhavid Gramindriya Sevamukhi Jivadosai Navaspurti Adaha. Atasi Krishna Namadi Nabhavid Gramindriya Sevamukhi Jivadosai Navaspurti Adaha. See Krishna Nam Adi, so Krishna's name, form, qualities and pastimes. Nabhavid Gramindriya, so cannot be understood by the material senses. So, Seva Mukhe Jivado. So, but if one is Seva Mukh, one is inclined towards service, towards Krishna, and one is practically engaging in devotional service, Jivado, first by the tongue, Jiva. So, that means chanting the holy names and taking Krishna Prasad, but then engaging all the senses in Krishna Seva. Then, Swayam Eva Spuratyadaha, then Krishna can be revealed. Krishna will be revealed. Spurti. So, in the beginning, so we try to remember Krishna, and then some perception is there. But if one is still under most material nature, we cannot perceive Krishna as he is. But continuously being engaged in devotional activities, then one becomes purified and then Krishna manifests. Sfurti. And then we can see Krishna as he is. And then one can understand one's own transcendental form. One can realize one's own spiritual transcendental form. So there's, in this world, of course, here we have a Sadak Sharir, and so the form which we are situated in now. So that is of a practicing devotee, Sadak. And here we have to understand there are two bodies. One is Sthul Sharir and one is Sukshma or Linga Sharir. One is the gross body and the subtle body. But we are beyond the spirit soul. So we are a spiritual form as soul. So the spiritual form is there as a friend of Krishna, as beloved of Krishna. So that is Adhyatmik Sharir, spiritual form. That is our real form. But then in conditioned life, so we have the subtle body and the gross body. So the spiritual form is eternal. And so that is the Nityasi that are always serving in their spiritual form. And they can never fall under the influence of Mahamaya. But then the Nitya Bada, so that is explained. So when the material world is manifested, they will fall in this material world. And then they will acquire a material body, gross and subtle. Gross, which you can perceive here now. So made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. And the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. I'm this body, I'm a lawyer, I'm a man, I'm a woman. So there's this subtle body, Sukshma Sharir or Ling Sharir. So sometimes, so two devotees came a few days to see me, a few days ago, and so then they were also, one of them was doing some research, and then so he was also giving his view that if we study the nature of the gopis and the different moods are there of the gopis, that is explained in Nectar of Ocean and even more so in Ujjwal Nilamani. So by studying, then we may see if we have a similar nature. So this one devotee was saying, then we will be under that devotee, under that Sakhi. But actually, so that is not necessarily so. Unless one is already highly purified, then one's real Swabhav nature, inclination will be revealed. But in beginning stage of devotional service, according to contact with material nature, then we have a certain body and a certain nature. So, but that may change according to one's association with modes of material nature, according to one's association also. So, of course, so that is a very broad subject matter. And so, therefore we should study under the guidance of the devotees who are experienced. And then, so we'll be able to understand the subject matter. But it is not just enough to theoretically understand. But then we have to apply the process in our life, and then so we pray for then of course practical realization of this subject matter. So through the intelligence, material intelligence, one cannot understand the Supreme Absolute Truth. So he's continuing, whatever limitations you are reading about the transcendental medium-sized form are completely unfounded. Formlessness, immutability, and inactivity simply comprise the material conception of what is opposite to our conception of material qualities. So they are themselves a type of material quality. However, see, Krishna also has qualities that are of an altogether different nature. For example, his beautiful, blossoming, smiling face, his lotus eyes, his beautiful lotus feet, which bestow fearlessness and peace upon his bhaktas, and his spiritual form, which is the pure embodiment of transcendence, with limbs and body just suitable for varieties of playful sports. The medium-sized vigraha, that is the very basis of these two types of qualities, form and all pervasiveness, is supremely pleasing. The Narad Pancharatra describes his extreme attractiveness to the mind, and this description is replete with all Siddhantas. So Siddhanta means conclusion. Nirdosh guna vigraha atmatantra nishchadanatmaka sharira gunashahina anandamatra karapala mukodaradhi savatra chasagada veda vinachitatma. See, Krishna's transcendent body is composed of eternity, consciousness and bliss without even a scent of material qualities. He is not subject to material time or space. On the contrary, he exists fully at all places and in all times simultaneously. His form and existence are the embodiment of absolute non-duality. Advay Gyan Sarupa Vastu. Is it clear?
Today,
No?
no. Today I don't understand
You understand something? Little bit. Okay, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has a beautiful form. And he has eternal part and parcels. And we have to engage in devotional service. So that is the point here. To understand, and so his form is transcendental. And so therefore, so like in this world, the form which we have or perceive or see, these are just in one place. And it is not all pervasive. But Krishna's form is transcendental and is all pervasive also. So that is mentioned here. So the Mayavadis also speak of Advai Gyan, so knowledge of the Advai, that which is non-dual. In the material world there is duality. So happiness and distress, heat and cold, birth and death. So, but the spiritual world is, so there are no material qualities, there is no birth, there is no death. And there is no material pleasure or material sorrow. So these material dualities are not there. But in the spiritual world, actually, spiritual qualities are there. This transcendental happiness and transcendental distress. And the spiritual realm is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. Whereas in the material world, everything is temporary. And there's so much misery. And knowledge is not complete. So direction, the space in this material world is an unlimited entity. So in the material world. So we are very insignificant, and even the material world is almost unlimited, although it has some limitation. And so that is explained in the scriptures. So whereas the spiritual realm is unlimited, by material estimation, only a formless object can be unlimited or all-pervading. An entity with a medium-sized form cannot. So space, so that has no form. So, but so that is unlimited. So that is the conception of the Mayavadis. But Krishna, so is transcendental, and although he has a form, medium-sized form of a goat, but he's unlimited. In the spirit world, all objects and their natures and attributes are unlimited. So see, Krishna's medium-sized form is also all-pervading. Medium-sized objects in this material world have this quality of all-pervasiveness. But it is charmingly manifest in Sri Krishna's medium-sized Vigraha. That is the supramundane glory of his transcendental Vigraha. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So Krishna is Parameshwar. His form is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Anadir Adir Govinda. So is the original personality. Adipurusha, Adi Govind. Sarva Karana Karanam is the source of all sources.
Wait, I'm confused. And my Mayavad is saying that Krishna's form is what?
Mayavad is form. Mayavad is what they're saying.
Yeah, about form.
The Mayavad is saying that the absolute truth has no form.
Physical form.
Yeah.
Material.
Yeah.
So,
And they say the absolute truth, the supreme absolute truth also has no form. The Brahmajyoti has no form. So they don't accept Krishna, that is the point. That Krishna is the supreme Lord. But in this world there is form, but that is material. But the soul is there, and the soul will merge in the absolute truth, formless absolute truth, and becomes also then formless. And then it's just there merged in the absolute truth. Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. So I'm that Brahma. So they think of themselves as the absolute truth, as part of the absolute truth, which is okay. We are part of the absolute truth, we are also the absolute truth. But Krishna is there with his unlimited form, but which is in a form which we can see, perceive.
but we can't see.
Well, in the material world you can see him, but in purified consciousness you can see him. So the form is there of a goat, so therefore medium size because he's not completely adult. He's in youth, fresh youth, Nava Yovana. So that form is transcendental. And that form is unlimited. So he's present in Golok and he's present in this world also. But he's transcendental to this world. But he's situated in the heart of his devotees. So many devotees are there. He's in my heart. He's in your heart, Krishna. Yeah? He's in your heart. No? Yes, he's there, but you cannot see him.
Then I have another question. Then why so many people in India, I'm not talking about Mayavadis, do not accept Krishna as a supreme highest avatar?
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? I mean, so why we are accepting it? I mean, we are a miserable percentage of all this population.
Yes, in the material world, so the pure devotees are rare. The devotees who are, the proper understanding, they are rare. So it is by good fortune and by good association that we can understand everything clearly. Manusyanam saseshu kashtit yatati seriye yatadamapi sirinam kashtimam viti tatvada. Out of thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me truth. So many persons are there in India, 1.5 billion. So, but of these, not so many they know that Krishna is the supreme absolute personality of God. So many they are impersonalists, many they accept many gods. So, but one who understands Krishna is little rare as the Supreme Lord. But then those who realize Krishna, they are very, very rare. So that you have to understand. Sudurlabh, very rare, to realize Krishna's Swarup and to see Krishna as he is and then see the associates. So that is very rare. So we are fortunate to have the proper understanding, but then we have to try to realize also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not in these avatars?
Why he's not in the avatar? He's Chana avatar, hidden incarnation.
Hidden?
Hidden.
Why?
Why? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he doesn't want to be known as the Supreme Lord. He wants to be known as a devotee.
Mm-hmm.
So he's coming as a devotee, although he's the Supreme Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And also because usually in the age of Kali there is no incarnation of the Lord. Therefore he's known as Tri Yuga. He comes only in the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga and Dvapar Yuga. So at the same time, so because whatever is there in the scriptures, that is the absolute truth, and therefore, so even when Mahaprabhu comes, so in order not to disregard the scriptural injunctions or not to confuse people, so he's coming in the age of Kali, but he's coming in the beginning, so it is not really Kali Yuga. The first few thousand years, so that is known as Sandhya, Yuga Sandhya. So towards the end of Dvapar Yuga, so just like for example, we have this Sandhya, when we chant the Gayatri, morning Sandhya, sunrise. So the sunrise is there, but the sun is rising slowly. And so that is known as Sandhya. So the sun is rising, we can see, in the morning. It is not completely dark and it is not completely bright. So that is known as the Sandhya, the sunrise. It is not day and it is not night time. It is dark, dawn, no? Suryodaya. And the night time also, the sun is setting, and when the sun is half behind the horizon, then so that is known as dusk, that is, the sunset is there. So then again here, it becomes darker, darker and darker and darker. So it is not day and night. So similarly, there is a Yuga Sandhya. Towards the end of Dvapar Yuga, it is not really Dvapar Yuga, and the beginning of Kali Yuga, so it is not yet really Kali Yuga. It is the Sandhya. So Mahaprabhu appears during the Sandhya. So, and yes, so he doesn't want to be addressed as the Supreme Lord. Even the devotees sometimes, they were praying to him and saying, oh, you're Bhagavan. No, 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 no. Vishnu, Vishnu, Krishna, Krishna. Putting his ears in the ears and just saying, no, I'm not the Supreme Lord. And so, and also because not everyone knows him. Of course, that is with the other incarnations also. Not everyone can understand that the incarnation is an incarnation. Or even that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So, but more so even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he is coming as a devotee. And he's chanting the holy names. And showing others how to engage in devotional service, how to advance. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so is known as hidden avatar. And so therefore only those who are most fortunate, they will understand Mahaprabhu and they will take shelter of Mahaprabhu and they will follow his instructions. So we are very fortunate. At the same time, of course, we have to understand that we are fortunate, but we have to still endeavor to become perfect. And that is not so easy, it will take some time. However, this conception only applies in the material world. In the spiritual world, all objects and their intrinsic natures and attributes are unlimited. So see, Krishna's medium-sized form is also pervading. Medium-sized objects in the material world do not have this quality of all-pervasiveness, but it is charmingly manifest in Sri Krishna's medium-sized Vigraha. That is the supramonde glory of his transcendental Vigraha. Can such glorious attributes be found in the conception of the all-pervading Brahma? Material substances are always limited by time and place. If an entity who is naturally beyond the effects of time is compared to the all-pervading sky, which is limited by time and space, then is not that entity beyond the influence of time incomparably greater? So the living entity is beyond the effect of time. And so the living entity is beyond this material world. And so it is greater than even the sky, all-pervading sky. Although the all-pervading sky in the material world seems to be unlimited, but it is not. It is in the universe. And it is only present when the material world is present. So it is limited by time and space. But the living entity is beyond this material world. So, and the living entity, the supreme entity Krishna, or the servant of Krishna, is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. So therefore, Jiva, even though infinitesimal, but it is still considered to be superior than the material world, or the material forms. See, Krishna's Brajdam is none other than the Brahmapur, which is mentioned within the Chandogya Upanishad. This Brajdam is a completely transcendental reality and is comprised of all types of transcendental variety. Everything in that place, the earth, water, rivers, mountains, trees, creepers and animals, birds, sky, sun, moon and constellation, is transcendental and is devoid of material flaws or shortcomings. So what we see in this material world, which is material, is there in the spiritual world, but it is spiritual. Like earth is there, Brajbhumi, and waters and rivers are there. So originally Jamuna is there, in Golok. And Ganges is there in Mayapur, Navadvip, in the spiritual realm. So everything is spiritual there. Water, the river, mountains, Govardhan hill, trees which are wish fulfilling trees, creepers. So animals are there also. Cows and
Like cats.
cats. I didn't read about cats. I didn't hear. But dogs are there. It's mentioned Krishna has 2 dogs, Vyagra and Brahmaraka. And then elephants are there also. Many different kinds of birds. And something like a cat should be there too. Rabbit also.
Because Radharani loves the white rabbit. No.
Yeah.
We can see her often.
Yeah, so different animals are there and they're all transcendental. And different birds are there. So there is also a moon there and the sun there. But that is all spiritual and everything is there to serve Krishna.
Is it berries?
What?
Berries.
Berries
Mm?
to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, different kinds of berries are there. So many different kinds of fruits and vegetables.
But not berries.
Yeah, berries, why not?
But why is this not mentioned, just fruits and vegetables? Where berries? On strawberry, raspberry, cherry.
Yes. Well, you know, you cannot describe everything.
Everything, yeah.
Just the essence is given.
Yes.
So many things are there.
Yes. When we say fruits, means everything is.
So fruits are fruits, berries are berries. What about cloudberry? It's
No.
like the best berry in the world.
But berry is
But it's
also
not
fruit.
mentioned.
Yes.
Berry is a
No,
fruit.
berries
Yeah,
are
yeah,
berries.
Yes.
yeah.
There is cloudberry.
Conscious pleasure is present always and everywhere in its fullest form. My dear son, this Mayapur Navadip is that self-same spiritual abode. So, as explained, so the spiritual sky is unlimited and there are unlimited Vaikuntha planets. But the biggest planet is Krishna Loka, and that is divided in 4. Dwarkapuri, where Dwarkadish is residing, Mathurapur, where Mathuresh is residing, and then Brajbhumi Golok, where Krishna and Radharani, the gopis and the friends and the parents of Krishna there. So, and then Mayapur Navadip is there also, where Mahaprabhu is residing with all his associates. You are unable to perceive it, however, because you are bound in Maya's snare. But when, by the mercy of saints and sadhus, spiritual consciousness arises in your heart, you will then perceive this land as the spiritual Dharma. And then only will you achieve the perfection of Brajbas, residence of Braj. So in the conditioned states, so we come here to Braj, and so then we have some understanding, and so the Dharma is manifest out of causeless mercy, by the Lord's mercy also, and so we can slowly but surely we can understand this, we can realize. So the spiritual world is unlimited, but then these holy places, Dham, they manifest in this material world also, but they are transcendental to the material world. Like Krishna is coming in this world, but is transcendental. It's pure devotees coming in this world, but they are transcendental. So if one is not engaged in devotional service, chanting the holy names, then he can perceive Braj. He can perceive Krishna and the associates. And that is actually Brajavas, residence in Braj. Who has told you that there must be material merits and faults whenever there is medium-sized form? You cannot realize the actual glories of the transcendental medium-sized form as long as your intelligence is bound up in material impressions. Any question?
Too difficult
Too difficult?
for me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, some philosophy is to be there.
Right.
But then, yes, we have to hear about Krishna and Krishna's realms, pre-realm, material realm. But then we have to hear about the wonderful pastimes also. But first you have to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and then we are his insignificant servants. And then later on then we can go in a more intimate relationship with Krishna. Yes?
No, I was talking about berries, but you cut me off. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Jaiva Disham. So, we still have 5 minutes, so we'll read more. Brajana, no intelligent person can have any doubts about this point. However, I would like to know when, where, and how Krishna's spiritual Vigraha, Dham, and Leela are manifested within material limitations. Since Radha Krishna's Vigraha and bodily complexion, their Leelas, as he says, house, pastime grows, forest, secondary forests, and all the objects in the spiritual world are transcendental. So how they can manifest in this world? That is the point, in the material world. So Krishna is actually appearing by his sweet way, but is beyond this material world. So Braj is present here, but it is beyond this material world. But then one may come and say, well, here like in Delhi, there are people here, and they look the same. Of course, some differences there. But a human being, they look the same from one point of view, to some extent, not fully. So, but like we can see, of course, we said already before, like, if you see a group of Chinese people, they all look the same.
This is Rasi. No.
But then if you know them closely, you can see they look different. Same for the Chinese, so the Indians, they all look the same. Or the Africans, the black people.
Oh my God, this is so right.
So they look all the same. So.
Do white people look the same for you guys? Us Westerns, do we look the same? Serious?
Yeah, of course.
Serious?
Of course.
Seriously?
Of course.
I'm also asking her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're not coming to this. How can you say we're all different?
No,
They're
but
different.
listen.
Blacks are different. Asians are different. You can see
No,
it.
yeah, of course you can see if you look closely. If you look closely, if you look closely and if you're, for example, together with the Chinese, you see they all look different.
And when they're a group and you don't look closely, you think they're all the same?
They look similar.
So when you see a bunch of Russians, you think we all look the same?
Well, the Russians are also white.
That's what
So
she's
right.
saying, like, it's very difficult to identify
Yeah.
That's what she is also saying.
Yeah. Like for example, even now we give another example, the monkeys, they look all the same. Right?
No, they're not different.
But basically they look very much the same, right? The monkeys.
Yes.
But if you look closely, they are different also.
Yes. When we look daily, Gurudev.
If you see daily,
Yes.
the monkeys, you can see this monkey is this one, this
Yes,
one
yes,
is this
yes.
one. Anyhow, so that is the situation. But this is just so.
Cows look different, Gurudev. Cows.
Well,
When they were
if you
different
see, well, if they're the same color like the gear cow, bright color,
then it's different.
gear cow. If you see the gear cow and the 100 cows,
Then
they look all the same. And then, but the one who's taking care of the cows, he will see that they're different. And he will recognize all of them. And they will all have a name. And he will know them. But if you tell one person, okay, here are 100 cows, and this is Hamsi, this is, Hamsi with white, means white cows. But then he will names it's given, Lalita, Vishaka, and so on, we give. So we may not be able to recognize in the beginning. But if you see them every day, and you deal with them, then you can see they're different. But if you go to the Goshala and you see all the cows, you can not see much difference there. That's a fact, right? We agree. Yes, you got it. So, anyhow. So Krishna is beyond this material world. And although he appears here, but he's beyond. But see, Krishna possesses all potency, so even that which appears to be impossible is actually possible for him. But he's astonishing in this. He's the all-potent personality, Sarva Shaktiman Purush, the fully independent supreme controller who is completely autocratic and imbued with lila. Simply by his desire, he can appear in this material world in his self-same spiritual form, along with his spiritual abode. How can there be any doubt about this? So Krishna is in the spiritual world, but then when the material world is manifested, he is appearing here also. But there's a little difference here, because in the spiritual world, Krishna is always in Kishoravasta, 15 years old. But when he comes in this world, he comes as a he appears as a baby, and then he's growing. But this form is spiritual and transcendental, but just to attract the conditioned souls. So his pastime here is known as Naravat Lila. Naravat, like a human being, but is different. So, but for him, so he can do anything. He can do the impossible possible. Prajanata, his desire, he can do everything, and he can manifest his spiritually, purely spiritual form in this material world. That much is clear. However, materialistic people tend to think that Sri Krishna's own transcendental abode that is manifest here is simply part of this material universe, and they perceive his Vrajali to be just like ordinary Mayic activities. Why is this? Why can't worldly people see Krishna's self-manifest spiritual form as Satchidananda when he mercifully appears in this world of birth and death? Babaji. So, only one of Krishna's unlimited transcendental qualities is his Bhakta Vatsalya, affection for his bhaktas. Because of this quality, his heart melts, and through his Ladini Shakti, he bestows upon his bhaktas a type of spiritual potency that enables them to have direct darshan of his self-manifest form and his transcendental pastimes. So Krishna is very merciful. And through his Ladini Shakti, it is also explained, through Ladini and Samvit Shakti, the knowledge potency and the bliss potency. By these two potencies, so the conditioned soul, he will be able, when this potencies come to the spirit soul, the embodied spirit soul, then he can also realize Krishna. And he can see Krishna, Krishna's abode. But the non-devotees, they cannot see, because under the modes of material nature. So even when Krishna was present, they could not understand him, because they were not engaged in devotional service. And so the Ladini Shakti and Samvit Shakti was not present, because only it will be present when one is engaged in devotional activities, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Brajanath. Then does this mean that Bhagavan Sri Krishna did not descend to bestow mercy upon all jivas? Bhagavan certainly descends to benefit the whole world. The bhaktas see his descent and lila as transcendental, whereas the non-devotees perceive them as ordinary human affairs, which take place under the influence of material principles. So one must be qualified to perceive Krishna. So by engaging in devotional service. Even so, these leelas have the power to bestow a type of spiritual merit, sukriti. And as the sukriti gradually accumulates, one is nourished. So then one develops one-pointed shraddha towards Krishna bhakti. That is why Bhagavan's descent certainly benefits all the jivas in the universe. Because jivas who possess such shraddha and perform ananya bhakti sadhana, unalloyed devotional service, will one day be able to see Bhagavan's transcendental form and lila. So Krishna comes in this world to attract the devotees. He performs his pastimes so people can see him and be benefited. And so he performs pastime, because when Krishna comes, his holy body is also coming. And then those who are coming to the holy Dham, they become purified, and then they can see the deity form, they can become more purified. Then they chant the holy names, they become more purified. Brajanath, why is Krishna Lila not distinctly described throughout the Vedas? Babaji, the pastimes of Sri Krishna are described here and there in the Vedas, but in some places they are described directly and in other places indirectly. Two types of expressions or tendencies determine the meaning of words in a text. By the direct or literal sense, abhidha, and the indirect or secondary sense, lakshan. They are also called mukhya vritti and gauna vritti respectively. The literal sense, abhidha vritti of the mantra, Shavalat Stavaram Prapadya in the last section of the Chandogya Upanishad describes the tonality of ras and the service attitude of the liberated jivas towards Krishna according to their respective ras. The indirect meaning of the words is called Gauna Vritti, secondary significance. In the beginning of the conversation between Yajna, Valkya, Gargi and Maitreyi, Krishna's qualities are described by means of indirect presentation, Lakshan Vritti. And at the end, the super excellence of Sri Krishna is established by means of direct presentation, Mukhya Vritti. The eternal pastimes literally of Bhagavan are sometimes indicated in the Vedas by the direct expression of words, and in many places the indirect approach describes the glories of Brahman Paramatma. In fact, it is the pledge of all the Vedas to describe Sri Krishna's glories. Jai. So here sometimes also Mukhyavriti and Gonavriti. So Krishna's form, quality and pastimes. So giving his knowledge and engaging in his service, that is the Mukhyavriti, that is the main. And the main point, the main activity, the main understanding. So sevritti, so inclinations to serve should be there. But then we should serve also. So here the direct understanding is there, Mukhyavriti. Direct presentation. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He's performing pastimes in the spiritual world, Golok with his associates. And Gonavriti, so in the beginning, of course, we have to understand we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, and the Supreme Lord is there, Bhagavan. So, Bhagavan who is of course addressed in various ways also. Sarvavyapi is all pervading. Sarvagya, he knows everything. So these are indirect or secondary explanations or indications. So in the Vedas, in some places Krishna's name, form, qualities and pastimes are described. But then, so mostly then the secondary meaning is also there. The absolute truth is there. The absolute truth is a form. The absolute truth, so as name also, and qualities. So, but in many places all the Gonavriti is given, or the absolute truth. So the impersonal aspect of the absolute truth is there also. That is also mentioned. Because not everyone can understand the direct explanation immediately. And the super soul is there also. But ultimately the Vedas, as mentioned here, in fact it is the pledge of all the Vedas to describe Sri Krishna's glories. But because not everyone can understand, so therefore the different scriptures are there for different persons on different levels. Like in school, first class, child is there, in the first class, small child, has to learn ABC. So you cannot give a book about philosophy or mathematics. You can never understand. So similarly, not everyone can immediately understand Krishna and Krishna's wonderful qualities and pastimes. So therefore, the Lakshan Vritti is there, Gun Vritti is there also, giving some Lakshan, some characteristics of the absolute truth. And then one is a little purified, then one may speak about Krishna, and then one about his qualities, and then if one is more purified, then so on. And more is revealed also. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.